Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to do a slightly different Monday Ramble. Yesterday I asked on the community tab of the channel, is there any question that you are burning to know the answer to? Any questions that you want to ask me, and I will answer them today in today's video, because there's not really a huge amount to ramble about today. We've got Salt Harvitz on the way, and we've got Gorzag Git Stomper, and that's it. That is the grand total of the previews, so there's not a huge amount to talk about in terms of new releases and preview stuff. So instead, we'll do a little Q&A, because I figured that might be a nice thing to do before Christmas. We're on the 21st of December, so only a few days to go, and then it's on the home stretch to the end of the year. And dear God, 2021 doesn't need to do much to be better than 2020. Really, that's a bar that you could conceivably get over by tunnelling under. That's how low that bar is. We can but hope. So, questions. I'm just going to go from the ones that were posted first. I mean, we'll get as far as we can. There's like 100 and something questions, so we'll do as many as we can. And I won't go on too long, just because that would not be interesting to listen to. I'm bad at keeping things concise at the best of times, so we'll try and make this not an absurdly long video. But first up, Chris Ashcroft asked, if you had two 40k armies and generally played against yourself rather than others, because you don't know anyone else that plays, but also enjoyed painting a bit more than playing, would you go for a third army in 40k, or maybe go for an Age of Sigmar army? Also, a third army in 40k can be used alongside the other two, but an Age of Sigmar army might be more fun to paint depending on faction, but would also have the potential to increase your chance of finding someone to play against. Admittedly, that's if these cursed lockdowns ever end. It'd be nice if they did, wouldn't it? Feels like outside of going shopping for food, I haven't left my house for like 9-10 months? I don't know. Too long. Far too long. So, for this, easy solution to this one. If you enjoy painting a bit more than playing, and you are usually playing against yourself because you don't have that much in the way of like a group of people around you who also play the game, then go for the thing that you would enjoy painting the most. Focus on that. If that is the bit you like a little bit more, then it doesn't matter what system it's for, whether it's for 40k or Age of Sigmar, whether you want to branch out into other tabletop war games, whether you want to try something like Warhammer Hordes or War Machine or something. Just go for the thing you like the look of most and the thing you would enjoy painting the most. That's the most important bit. Especially if you are mostly playing against yourself, go for the project aspect, not the army aspect. Because otherwise you might pick something and then go, oh, well, I like the look of these and they're supposed to be really good, but then find you don't actually enjoy painting them. And if that is the main focus and that's the thing that you are able to do more reliably, then that's the thing you should focus on. Always go for what you think you would enjoy assembling and painting the most. That is the way that you keep enthusiasm for an army, by going for the thing that you feel a connection to, as opposed to just going, well, I guess I'll do that because I've already got these two. Always go for the thing that just tickles your fancy the most. It's the best way to keep motivated and the best way to actually keep enjoying it instead of finding it a chore at any point. Next up, Tobias Fowler. Do you think Magnus actually may have done something wrong? Well, yeah, clearly. I know the memes he did nothing wrong, but he did actually mess up quite badly. The thing is, for me, I both like and dislike the whole Magnus did nothing wrong thing, and I'm guilty of using that joke myself many a time. But it's because it's like two-pronged. In terms of his actions, yes, he absolutely screwed up in a catastrophic way. But then again, he's quite a flawed character. He is arrogant. He is genuinely arrogant. He thinks he knows best. He thinks he is smarter and stronger and more powerful and borderline all-knowing compared to everyone else, and that bites him in the arse. In terms of his attempting to warn and attempting to do something about a situation that he saw as being desperate, he didn't do anything wrong because he acted in the way that he felt most benefited everyone, just humanity as a whole. In that respect, he didn't do anything wrong. The way he went about it was an absolute catastrophic failure, and once again was one of those situations whereby he was being less clever than he thought he was, I think is probably the best way to put it. So, yes and no. Sean Reed. Will we ever see a Forge World Space Marine range review? and what Primarch do you most relate to? Forge World Space Marine range review. At some point, yeah, I need to get round to doing more of those. I do enjoy doing them. That is going to be a long one. That'll be split into multiple different sections, I would imagine. Just because it's... God, that range is big. The Forge World Space Marine range is like the same size as the Games Workshop one, if not maybe a little bit bigger when you take into account all the different legions and all the different vehicles and variants and so on and so forth. There is a shed load of stuff to look at for that. So yes, it'll probably be a multi-part thing, and probably Lorgar. Lorgar's my favourite Primarch anyway, but he's just so much more human than the rest of them, to be honest. Although I will say, with Unremembered Empire, reading that through, Gulliman, however you want to pronounce it, I actually liked the way he was portrayed in that. He also is... I think him and Lorgar are kind of two sides of the same coin, in a way. The fact that, like, Gilliman is, like, intimidated by, like, the lion. Like, he actually feels that thing of, oh, this guy's so much better than me. I must strive to be as good as this person. There's something very human about that. So probably Lorgar, and then probably as he is portrayed in the Horus Heresy. Although actually, I'd say, thinking about it, the moments during Dark Imperium where Gilliman is like, what the fuck is this Imperium bullshit? What is going on? This is terrible. This is not what we fought for. This is not what we were after. This place is absolutely mental. Why? What is this? 100% relate to that. I relate to that in terms of 40k as a whole, because it's just an absolute hellhole. And I think just the world, the actual real world, you could have a very similar reaction to, especially at the moment. With all of the COVID stuff and politics stuff and Brexit stuff and all of that, occasionally it's like looking out the window and going, hey, is everything mad? Or is it? I mean, is it? I feel like it is. That very relatable standpoint to have, to be honest. So yeah, Lorgar and or Gilliman, probably both. Brioche Panda, excellent name. Here's one. Do you feel that kit bashing and conversions aren't as scary as they seem, and Games Workshop should encourage or perhaps spotlight kit bashing more often, such as with the alternative Imperial Guard Regiment article, maybe suggesting kits prime for kit bashing, like how people convert Blight Kings to Death Guard, or your use of Custodies for Emperor's Children? Yeah, I mean, I would like to see them highlight it more. The thing is, I don't think they really do anything to stop it, and they have done quite a few really good articles, like where they've shown off some really nicely kit-bashed armies. They do focus on it every now and again. It's just not at the forefront, and I think the main reason that it's not at the forefront is because it's far easier to get people in by just showing them the kit, just by showing them, like, here's the thing you can make, this is what it will look like, off you go. Kit bashing, I think, is a bit more of a, I'm not going to say advanced because that sounds condescending, like, I think it's something that people generally get into a little bit after they've already started. They start playing, they start like putting stuff together and painting, and then they think, oh, what can I do to make this my own? I mean, that's how I did it anyway. I think probably they don't put a massive focus on it because it's like a little bit of like a deeper aspect of the hobby, something that maybe not everyone is going to be interested in. The people that are really are, and the people that aren't are just not going to touch it. Yeah, I'd like to see more focus on it, but I can kind of understand why there isn't as much as I ideally would like. Mellow Potato, excellent name again. Do you think Forge World will ever get resin Primaris Marines? It seems like the level of ornamentation and detail mixed with the true scale of Primaris could make some incredible models. I'm genuinely surprised that we haven't seen anything like that yet. Like, genuinely. I know we've got the stupid Astreus super heavy tank, but in terms of just outright Primaris characters from Forge World, I'm surprised we haven't seen any. Then again, Forge World is much more the specialist game side of things, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know that there's anything that Forge World could do that Games Workshop proper couldn't do. I think when you get down to it, the quality and like accuracy of the plastics now, there is... Forge World do make some really good kits, but I think if we're being completely honest with each other, for the most part, the stuff that Forge World makes, you could probably make in plastic now. I mean, I don't know that they will do anything like that, just because I don't know whether there's any advantage to it. I don't think there's any particular reason to, like, for them to bother when Games Workshop can handle everything Primaris really easily. Yeah, I mean, thinking about it, it's like, on the one hand, I'm surprised they haven't already. On the other, I think I can see why they haven't. So, yeah, interesting question, actually. Cold Winter's Evening. When's the Chaos Demons range review coming? Again, that is a massive number of models and a big range. We are going to do that. I'm thinking probably try and do that between Christmas and the New Year. That'll be a fun thing to do. So yeah, we'll do that then. Feswold, Squats Return. Good or bad idea? Good idea. Genuinely good idea. I think Games Workshop could do some really cool stuff with Squats now. I think that the way that they've handled the like the Necromunda side of things, we've got a couple of Squats in Necromunda. I think they could do some really cool stuff with them, and I would like to see them tackle. I mean, what is a... Let's face it, Eldar are just basically elves in space. Orcs are literally orcs. It would be interesting to see them tackle what I would consider to be, like... You think of dwarves, whether in the context of space or in the context of fantasy, and they are just short guys with long beards. I'd be really interested to see how they handled a full army of that. I mean, even when you look at, like, the Caradron Overlords, they are stereotypical fantasy dwarves with steampunk trappings. Yes, they do have helmets instead of bare heads, but even the helmets have got beards carved into them. They are short, podgy, bearded, and that's pretty much your standard dwarf. I'd really be interested to see what they did to actually make it more 40k and less fantasy and less Caradron Overlord in a way, because let's face it, the Caradron Overlords are pretty high tech for Age of Sigmar. So it kind of felt like they went, well, we could do squats. We'll just do it in that system, not this one. Just shove them over there, do it over there. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea. It'd be interesting to see what they did with them. And you know that a good number of people would go mental over it and buy a shed load of them. You know it'd happen. The nostalgia would kick in. It'd be like, oh my god, they've reimagined my favourite thing. I mean, I do that all the time. I mean, the Necron stuff was like a dream. An absolute dream for me. They brought back Wraiths, for God's sake. Magnify that by 100 times, and you've got probably the action to squats for a lot of the older player base. So, yeah, good idea. Alex Dodds, what specifically drew you towards Iron Warriors back in the day? The paint scheme, the lore, the sheer number of hazard stripes. The hazard stripes put me off. My Iron Warriors did not do well for hazard stripes. I'll be honest. They definitely struggled a bit with their hazard stripes. They looked terrible. My way of getting a nice consistent yellow was to just get a glob of yellow on the brush and just... Yeah, it was not great. Honestly, it was mostly just reading the Chaos Codex and going through and it being like the focus on siege stuff. Like trench warfare, having multiple bits of artillery, not actually having that additional slot for heavy support in sacrificing 2 fast attack slots. I love that. I thought that was a really cool idea. And I was like, oh, it's so full of flavor, and they can have more obliterators. And also, I think at that point, was that... My timeline is a little bit off because it was a depressingly long time ago. But I was reading Alistair Reynolds' Chasm City. Was it Chasm City or was it Revelation Space? One of the two. But there is a series of books by an author called Alistair Reynolds, which is set in a universe where humanity is like they've achieved. They have light hugger starships that travel close to the speed of light. They have nanotechnology that means they can just do anything, whatever they want to do, they can do. They have a huge orbiting ring of settlements called the Glitter Band, and then one day disaster strikes because a virus hits their nanotechnology. And the nanotechnology just starts to consume everything. The Glitter Band becomes the Rust Belt. Ships that have got nanotechnology on them kind of turn into these horrendous monstrosities with things growing out of them, and it makes the nanotech go crazy. So it either consumes or just explodes exponentially. So you end up with these weird gothic Hulk starships that just can't function. They just drift, looking like nightmarish things. That was my main point of reference for obliterators. The idea of guys that could just grow guns out of their flesh, and it was a virus as well, which kind of, with having read those books, I'd kind of picked up on. And so my Iron Warriors, as soon as I read that it was like artillery stuff and they could do more obliterators, I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if the obliterator stuff was like the thing out of the Alistair Reynolds books, where it was like infecting everyone. That would be a really cool thing to do. So like my Land Raider, I used green stuff to make like metallic growths that were coming out of it and stuff. Almost like everything was infected by the obliterator virus, but like a one I just nicked out of a book that's nothing to do with 40k. It all kind of coalesced in one sort of reading. As I read through the codex, I was like, Iron Warriors look cool. Oh, they can have more obliterators. Oh, obliterators do this. Oh, that's similar to that. I could put those two together. That would be really fun. Plus, like, you can take the Basilisk as like no one else can take the Basilisk, and the Vindicator, and they look like cool models. They're nice. So that was pretty much just like a big coalescing of ideas. And no one else played Chaos at the time. I was introduced by friends to 40k, and there was no Chaos at the time. So it was a case of, well, we were covered for a lot of other stuff, covered for things like Eldar and Imperial Guard and Space Wolves and Tyranids, so yeah, I guess I could do some Chaos stuff. That would be fun. That would be like a nice change. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That was not a concise answer. Gentleman Viking, how's the family going to have a good Christmas considering the crappy year? Hopefully. Yeah, they're all fine. They're all good. Yeah, it's been a weird year overall. My eldest daughter started school this year. And that was, I mean, I have nothing to compare it to, so I have no idea what a normal first day at school is, because our first day at school was everyone queuing up. Like, they staggered how, like when you took the kids to school. So because she is in reception, she's in, like, the earliest year, there were some kids already in school, some kids were coming in later. The way that they were introduced to the classrooms, like everyone had to stand 2 meters apart, and there was a big long line going out into the road and kind of around the street, and then you would go up to the teacher one by one, and they would say hello to the kid, and then take them in and introduce them, and you would have to stand at the door and kind of hover and peer around and be like, oh, okay, that's what the classroom looks like. Normally, apparently, you go in and you see what's going on. None of that. It was weird, but I will say her going to school this year, massively helpful, because thankfully she absolutely loves school. So that was the thing we did not have to worry about from that point on. It was like, well, both the kids have been at home with us for like 4 months. If she gets there and she hates it, we are up shit creek. I don't know what we're going to do with her. No, absolutely loves it, which is brilliant for me, because it means I can just kind of go, okay, do you want to go to school this morning? Yes, let's go. All right. Awesome. The one less thing to worry about this year, spot on. So, yeah, all good, and, I mean, we're hoping to have a good Christmas. I'm going to turn 34 on Christmas Day, because it's also my birthday on Christmas Day, which is, yeah, good at timing, apparently. So, yeah, it should be good, it should be fine, it'll be alright. Eat a load of food, drink copious amounts, your usual Christmas. James Richards, have you reached out to the God Emperor of Paint at his new YouTube channel to ask him to collab? Possibly he could talk you through painting Barry step by step. I have actually reached out to Duncan when he first started the channel. I didn't get a response back, which is fine, I understand. He's probably massively busy because that took off real quick. I was thinking at some point I will probably reach out to him again, see what happens. It's fine. In terms of painting Barry step by step, where's my orc lad gone? I don't know. He's around here somewhere. I do have a plan for painting Barry. I was going to do him during October, but then I got distracted doing the creature cast at Orc Forge Lord, which is a much bigger model, and I tried things on that I was not massively comfortable with, but wanted to give him a go. Barry, I know what I'm going to do with him, it's just actually doing it. Also Barry's fine, but I kind of wish I'd picked an orc with a different head. Yeah, I kind of wish I'd picked an orc that didn't have a helmet on, because it would have been fun to do the full head green and maybe give him a mohawk or something, but no, he's got... I mean, that's what he is now. I can't change him. That's what Barry is, so he's just going to have to stay like that. But I should have picked a different orc, one that I would have enjoyed painting a little bit more. Never mind. Frisbee Hat, excellent name. Red, oh yeah, in the thing I was like, any obscure questions? Read Obscure and thought I'd be funny by asking how, but now genuinely curious, what do you do for your hair? Cleanliness and healthiness wise. If that's not too personal or too not really the obscure you were quite going for. Nothing really. It gets dyed when I can be bothered, which is less than it probably should be to maintain an actual colour, and to just wash it once every 2 days. That's literally it. I've no idea if you're supposed to do more. I mean, it's still on my head, so I'm assuming it's fine. I did shave most of it off yesterday, as you can see, so I've got rid of most of it, but that was because I just should have done that about 2 months ago and didn't bother, because I just didn't bother. Not a good look. But yeah, nothing really. just standard. I don't know if you're supposed to do more if it's dyed. I have no idea. I just don't really. It's the basis I've always. In fact, actually, I can just tack that on. So, one of the questions that I get a lot, usually from the same person over multiple videos, because it really bugs them for some reason, is why pink? Why the pink hair? Why is your hair pink? Why have you chosen pink? And I think some people think there must be some sort of agenda behind it. It's literally, I just fancy doing it. I mean, my hair was already white at the sides, like completely white. If you go back and watch older videos when I was like really badly, like not dealing well with depression, like my hair was pretty long, and it was just when my first daughter was born, she was in hospital for 2 months. Like from the day she was born, she was in there for 2 months. And in that time, I went from having a little bit of grey at the sides, just getting a little bit of like, you know, the salt and pepper, to just going white down the sides and most of the back. The stress literally just turned my hair white on the sides of my head. And after a certain point, I was just like, well, it's already white there, and it did that before I even turned 30. I might as well mess about with it. I'm not going to have it forever, probably, so might as well just do something with it. And so I did. That's literally it. Occasionally I'll see people that have like a theory or an idea. It's like, oh, I wonder if it's like a rebellious thing, or it's trying to promote some sort of mindset, and the mindset, I'm afraid, is just, I think we can dye my hair pink. Just fancy it. Why not? It's gonna fall out one day. Why not mess about with it whilst you've got it? That's pretty much it, to be honest. I'm sorry there is no deeper thought or meaning behind it, but sometimes it doesn't need to be. Sometimes it's just a choice that you make for the sheer hell of it. And I always went on the basis that if I didn't like what it looked like, I would just shave my head. I've done that before. I've got bored of having hair before and gone, you know what, I don't have to deal with this, and just got rid of it all. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Christopher Taylor, what are the main differences as a player between 40k and Age of Sigmar? Honestly, I don't know, because I haven't played Age of Sigmar yet. I remember playing... No, that's not true. That is not true. I tell a lie. I remember playing Age of Sigmar when it was first released, years and years ago. I don't know if the video is... I don't think it'll still be up. I don't think we recorded it. But when I was still at Unit Lost, me and Sty played Age of Sigmar, like when that box came out, when it was the Stormcast Eternals versus the Bloodbound, Blades of Khorne, Bloodbound of that lot. Yeah, I remember playing it, and it was fine. It felt weird. There was no points, if I remember correctly. There was no points or anything, and it was like it was different. I didn't really... I wasn't, like, massively enraptured by it. But from everything I've read, and from what I've, gathered from talking to people who are, like, properly into Age of Sigmar, it is much improved over what I had, like, a few hours experience with literally years ago when it very first came out. One of the reasons that I've decided to do this lot, my mad... Gargants from the Realm of Metal. One of the reasons that I decided to make these Age of Sigmar things, to have like a Sons of Behemat army, is I want to try Age of Sigmar, and I did get the Caradron Overlords Barak whatever Skyfleet, which I'm hoping to assemble over Christmas. I do want to give it a try, because it's a very... the setting is really interesting to me. I really like the approach they've taken. I know that blowing up the old world is not what people wanted, but it's created a very eclectic and interesting mix of things. So yeah, I'm hoping to play Age of Sigmar next year, provided we're allowed to leave our houses at any point during said year. That'd be nice. Imperial Marine, not really a burning question, but what happened to your old background music for your videos? You used to have it a couple of years ago, but not anymore. That I actually get that quite often. It is literally just a case of like copyright claims and stuff started to go like properly crazy on YouTube. If you haven't been kind of following this channel for a while, then before I started like covering 40k and stuff, it was gaming that I did on here, and I kind of slowly shifted out of gaming and into 40k because I just stopped enjoying playing games as much. Like video games were not doing it for me anymore, and I'd got back into 40k and found that I enjoyed talking about 40k and thinking about 40k and kind of discussing it with people far more than I did playing video games. So the channel, as my interest shifted away from one and kind of really tightly focused in on the other, the channel changed as well. Now, I had a piece of background music that I used in all the videos that I just laid underneath it, just so it wasn't just my voice. And I took that away when a bunch of old videos started getting claimed. Like stuff that had royalty-free music in it, stuff that had music that was supposed to be not claimed. It started getting hit. And as a kind of like, I guess an overreaction to that, I just pulled it. I just stopped using it because I was like, I do not want to get to the point where I wake up one morning and like, 200 videos or something have been copyright claimed, and I've got to go through every single one and go, no, this music is fine. It says here on this website that you can use it for free, and I just didn't want to have to deal with that, and it was increasingly looking like it would happen. There was a YouTuber, was it a Minecraft YouTuber? I forget. There was a guy who used some music. He got permission from the artist, and he used some music for his intro and outro for like every video he did for like a couple of years. And he woke up one morning and every single video on his channel had been claimed. And when that happened, I was like, I made the right call. Like, I made the right call. This poor guy, he just had everything claimed overnight because it was some weird thing where the music that he used had been sampled by someone else and put in a different track, and then that person had put the track on YouTube, and then everything that used that thing got claimed, and it was an absolute nightmare for the guy. And when that happened, I was just like, I made the right call. I totally made the right call. I am going to try and put some music back into the videos because I have found myself missing it, and I think it does add something. But when I do, it's not just going to be a royalty-free track. It's going to be something that I write. It's probably not right, just faff around and make in the course of a couple of days. So if music does start showing up back in videos in the new year, it's because I've made some tracks to go under my voice and just to kind of flesh it out a bit more. But I'm going to make sure that it's something that I've done, that I own the copyright to, that I can put up and be like, this is my thing, you cannot claim it, this belongs to me. So that's the plan anyway. But yeah, that's why I pulled it, just because copyright claiming stuff was getting out of control, and I did not want to suddenly find that half my stuff now was being monetized by someone else, even though it shouldn't have been. Which, you've been watching the channel recently, you'll know has happened quite a few times. Like music that Games Workshop's used in trailers and stuff has got claimed for me, and I just don't want to have to deal with it. It's just a pain in the arse. And there's also I do not mind people getting paid for the work they do. If it was a proportional thing, if a video was claimed and it was like, you have used 30 seconds of someone else's music, so based on the length of the video, a percentage of the ad revenue will go to that person, I would be like, well, yeah, it's not great, but it's fine. They've put the work in. If I didn't seek permission and I don't have the appropriate rights to put that music in the video, then that's fine. But that's not how it works. You can have like a 2-hour-long video, 30 seconds of it has got some music in it, and so the entire ad revenue for that video goes to the person who wrote the 30 seconds of music. That's bollocks, and I'm not putting up with it. So That's why a lot of the time we skip videos or I mute them. Because I do not mind people getting paid for what they do. I just don't want to get people getting paid for what I do. That's where I draw the line. So, yeah. Again, that was a bit long-winded. AF, any plans for any new merch like a Neon KTV shirt? Yes, there's a few different things that I've been working on with other people as well. Like band t-shirts for each of the Chaos Gods, for instance. I think one ended up on Teespring that shouldn't have done. I need to sort that out, thinking about it. But there's going to be one for She Who Thirsts. There's just going to be stuff like taken from the different Chaos Gods. In terms of things like full Space Marines and stuff, I'm steering away from that just in case. Again, not my copyright. I don't own the IP. I do not own the rights to Space Marines. So I don't want to get like a whole load of stuff made and a whole load of merch done and then find that Games Workshop decides one day, no, we're not allowing that, and then just gets rid of it all. So more kind of general stuff related to 40k, which isn't directly like 40k in representation, so to speak. James Kilts, do you play any non-Games Workshop tabletop games? What is your favourite book or series? Does not have to be Warhammer related. Non-Games Workshop tabletop games, mostly D&D isn't a tabletop game. Not necessarily. Board games, yes. Dark Souls is the current thing. I'm really enjoying the Dark Souls board game. I'm having to resist buying all the expansions because I just love them. I love the everything about Dark Souls. I love the design of. So the temptation is there. It's real. But I'm being good and sensible because I've got a bunch of bloody dwarves to put together and I don't need anything else to paint. Got more than enough stuff to paint. And favourite book or series, I mean, my favourite book series is... It's a tie. It's a tie between the Discworld books, just as a whole, because they are genius. And I'd say Alistair Reynolds. It's a tie between the two. Two very different approaches, two very different book series, but Discworld was largely responsible for my love of fantasy, and Alistair Reynolds' Revelation Space series is largely responsible for my love of sci-fi, so it's kind of an even split between the two. Rax 1990, when will we see those cool Night Lord Terminators? I have no idea, but I wish they would actually, release them at some point. That would be nice. Although, everything's out of whack this year, isn't it? Dalek 256, what do you enjoy most about the 40k lore, and what do you think is the funniest part of the lore? Honestly, the thing I like the most, I think, is just the overwhelming irony of the whole thing. Lorgar very much vilified for what he believed in terms of the Emperor and for his approach to leading humanity into a new golden age. Got absolutely wrecked for it. Got shamed. His legion was shamed. He was shamed. He was driven away. He was pushed away. And now the Imperium is exactly what he was aiming to make it to be. Except now he's on the other side and actively trying to dismantle it, which I suppose, it's just another layer of irony on top of the irony. The funniest part of the lore, I don't know, there's a lot. To be honest, 40k, one of the things I like about it is as serious or as silly as you want it to be. You can take the heresy and you can drill right down into essentially an absent and terrible father figure who did a god-awful job of raising his sons, like someone who was cold and calculating, who just never really, truly treated the people that he relied on with the respect and attention that they deserved. You can drill it all the way down and get all sorts of really dark, depressing meaning out of it. On the other hand, on the other hand, the orcs exist, which are the most fun race. They are by far the most fun race because they are having fun. They have evolved just to enjoy beating the shit out of things, and that could be like some sort of damning indictment as to the just the condition of living creatures as a whole. or alternatively, it's just pretty funny that the orcs are out there having an absolute whale of a time, and every time the Imperium is like, oh dear God, there's 5 million orcs on the way. What are we going to do? We need to summon the Space Marines. We need to set up a defensive perimeter. We need to do this, that, and the other. We need to hold them off. And all the while, the orcs are like, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. I'm loving it. I can't wait to chop someone in half. It's going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be so good. That to me is the funniest part of the lore, to be honest. I love orcs. Oliver Pedler Platt, where did you get the name Kirioth from? World of Warcraft. When was it? It was just before... I want to say it was just before Wrath of the Lich King. I started playing World of Warcraft like a year before Wrath of the Lich King dropped, I think. I think it was around then. It was certainly after Burning Crusade, but before Wrath of the Lich King. And I had an orc rogue called Carnival, and I liked it, but I wanted to do something a bit more useful. Sorry, DPS players. I wanted to do something that was either tanking or healing. And I thought, why not go for a mix of both? So Blood Elf Paladin was created, because Horde for life, and I decided that the thing I didn't like about my rogue was the fact that the name Carnival, if you went on the Armory and searched for Carnival, there were like fucking 200 pages of that shit. Like, everyone was called Carnival, and there are a disproportionate number of rogues called Carnival. For my Blood Elf Paladin, I wanted to be a unique special snowflake, and I wanted a name that was not on the Armory. That if you searched for it, only one thing would come up, and that would be mine. So I literally went through a bunch of... It was like a Bible names website, I seem to remember, because it had a bunch of like obscure shit in it, and the name Kirioth was on there. And I forget what it even means. I think it's 2 walls or 2 cities or something. I can't remember. And I was like, I was going through names, literally in alphabetical order, taking things that didn't sound too stupid, putting them in the Armory and going, no, there's already 2 of those. No, there's 1 of them. No, there's like 500 of those. Absolutely not. Kirioth, got to that one, put that in. Nothing. No other people were using the name. And so I was like, sure, that's it. I'll take it. That's literally it. It is the least satisfying answer, I know, but yeah, I basically just got sick of the fact that if you search for my character in the Armory, you got like hundreds of others, so I wanted something that was unique, and apparently that was. No idea if it is anymore. I've not checked the WoW Armory for quite some time because I haven't played since... Cataclysm? No, I did play Cataclysm. Yeah, how long ago was that? I don't want to know. It's just going to upset me because it's going to be way longer than I want it to be. Oh no. I've reached an issue with reading the names out loud. Oh god. Peter Malizisk? I'm sorry. I apologise wholeheartedly for how I pronounce that. First, I would like to know how you feel on this Christmas season. I'm alright. I'm actually a lot better. Getting there. Good, thank you. Second of all, how do you feel about Ynnari? Are they their own faction? Do we get Ynnari-specific models, or is it just an easy way to pull all the Eldar together in one range? I've no idea at this point. I don't think Games Workshop 100% knows what to do with the Ynnari at this stage. I think they... It feels like they had a plan and then they bailed on it, to be honest. Because you've got this like death cult. You've got this mix of Eldar and Dark Eldar, and it could be something really amazing and cool. And they just don't. It doesn't feel like they've done a huge amount with it. I would like to see them get more of their own specific models. I feel like the flavour of it's really cool, and I think you could get some really interesting mixes between Eldar and Dark Eldar, like stylistic kind of intersections, but I don't even know if it's an easy way to put all the Eldar together in one range, because the last time I checked the web store, which admittedly was a while ago for Ynnari, the last time I checked, there was like 3 things listed. There was Ivrain, and there was the Vizarch, and that was about it. And there wasn't really anything else. There was just the chosen whatever, the avatar of whatever. And yeah, there just wasn't all that much there. So I like the idea of it, but I don't know really what Games Workshop are planning on doing with it. If anything, I would like them to do something though. That would be nice. So, how dilly doodly 629. Excellent. Did you ever play Warhammer Fantasy? No. Nope. Did not play it, unfortunately. Tyler Walker, yes or no to dreadlocks made out of cables for my Slanesh Knight? Why are you even asking? Of course, yes. Rickard, oh no. Rickard, do you think they still have something big for Christmas? I would have thought so. At the very least, they'll have a big reveal. Whether there'll be anything in terms of actual releases outside of the sort of Soul Tarvitz and Git Stomper, I don't know, because it feels like everything has been thrown way off kilter. I mean, especially with the Death Guard Codex and Death Guard releases being pushed until 2021, it's hard to judge, but I'm sure they will show something off at the very least. What models do you think will be shown off on the Warhammer livestream on Christmas Day? I have no idea. I have no idea at this point. I do still get like emails and occasional hints and tips and things, and they are all over the place now. I think their schedule has been so badly impacted this year that it is almost impossible to know what they're going to do. Genuinely, I have no clue. No clue. It's one of those things where all I could do is wish list, but in terms of actual sensible predictions, not the vaguest idea. Sigismund, what are your thoughts regarding a Black Templar supplement? Do you think that it's likely? I don't know that it's likely, but it is something that I would like to see. Black Templars are sufficiently different in terms of their organisational structure and the way they approach, just the chapter as a whole, that I feel they could totally fit easily into a supplement, and yeah, I'd like to see it, but I don't know how likely it is. Forever Gimli, how to magnetise flat bases without an indent so they do not fall over while playing. No idea. Absolutely no clue. Leave it with me. Leave it with me. Ever thought about kitbashing War Machine Warjacks with Dreadnoughts? I mean, I haven't actually bought any War Machine Warjacks, but these things I've just been reliably informed are basically just Warjacks at this stage. I'm fine with it. I'm happy. You don't need to see his identification. Given that God is infinite and that the universe is also infinite, would you like a toasted tea cake? Excellent dwarf reference there. No, I do not want a toasted tea cake. I do not want... What is the line? I'm going to try and... No, I can't remember it. I can't remember it exactly, but it's no. I do not want a toasted tea cake. I do not want toast. I do not want bread or rolls. I definitely don't want any smeg in flapjack. Something like that. It's been a long time since I've watched that episode. Phil East, complete noob here. I have the start of a Blood Angels army, so ideally would stick with them, but really want to paint the Indomitus Marines in yellow. Any suggestions, excluding Lamenters, as I want no part of the chessboard shoulders. Do not blame you at all. Make up your own. Just make up your own. If you want to paint an army that you use as Blood Angels yellow, then just make up a chapter. That's one of the best things about 40k. Pretty much anything you want to do, you can do. If you want to do I want to play Dark Angels, but I don't want to play dark. I don't want dark green. I don't want black. I'd actually like some sort of kind of purple scheme, perhaps with silver edging. Okay, fine, you can do it. Go for it. Just make up your own. If you don't find a chapter that suits your fancy, just make it up as you go along. Squilliam Fancy Pants. What music are you into? I hate it when the answer to that question is just loads, but I also don't really know what else to say. Quite a bit. I like quite a lot of different stuff. At the moment, because Spotify does that thing where it's like what you've listened to in 2020 and things that are on repeat. So on repeat for me at the moment is In This Moment, Mirka, that's not how you pronounce that, The Birthday Massacre, New Year's Day, Cold Kingdom, Lord of the Lost, Ignia, Zerath, Cobra and the Lotus, Stitched Up Heart, Ether Realm, MT Wolf, Nothgard. What else is on here? It's okay. Spotify's just frozen on me. There's a lot of different things. There's quite a few different things. something that I've been listening to a lot this year is like ambient noise stuff. So the label Cryo Chamber, I've been listening to a lot of the stuff that they put out. I think out of all of that, Atrium Carcerai is the stuff I listen to the most. But there is also like a set of albums that are based around the Elder Gods for like H.P. Lovecraft's Elder Gods. That the songs are like bloody 2 hours long each or something, but it's such good background noise. It's really good. So yeah, quite a lot of stuff. No one genre. I don't really like pop all that much. I'm good with pretty much anything rock and metal. I don't really like rap either, to be honest. Jazz, blues, funk especially. Listening to a lot of Cory Wong. A lot of Cory Wong at the moment. Michael Carico, just because I'm curious to see what your thoughts would be. Do you think Games Workshop is going to continue to grow exponentially like they have been, or do you think they'll just eventually hit that point of no more growth due to various reasons, pricing more people out, folks leaving due to unsupported armies, etc.? So that's kind of an interesting one, because I don't think they will continue to grow at the rate that they've been growing. I don't think that's sustainable or realistic. I think it will slow at some point. I think probably, provided they don't completely like drop the ball in terms of their pricing increases, because they have been increasing the prices steadily, provided they don't go absolutely mental with it, because at the moment, much though there's a lot of dissatisfaction about the pricing, the fact is, I think a lot of us have this issue where we treat what we see online as being the overall consensus on stuff. And that isn't really how it works. It's a similar thing with like the gaming industry and stuff. For all of the hate and backlash about things like The Last of Us 2, for instance, that game went on to sell an absurd amount. For all that, every time there's a new FIFA comes out and everyone goes, "Oh my god, look at that!" It's literally the same as the last one. They haven't even updated the graphics. They've even left stuff in from the previous version. This is garbage. It still hits the top of the charts whenever it's released. The vast majority of customers and consumers don't bother looking at stuff online. So when we see stuff about, the pricing increases are just absurd and they're pricing people out, they may well be. But I think the vast majority of their customers, we don't see the reaction to it. They just continue to buy. So I can see them continuing to grow, not at the rate they have been growing, because I don't think that's feasible for that to just continue year on year. There's also, God knows what will happen with Brexit next year and all that stuff. But yeah, I can see them continuing to get bigger, but not at the same rate. I would hope they don't stall or shrink, because that means they've messed up. But I feel like they know what they're doing for the most part at the moment. Even if we don't like what they're doing, I feel like they know what they're doing. So, hang on. Right, where are we? I've lost it. Tungstinian. How do you feel about Major Kill? Why is your channel so small? Harsh. I've been watching for a long while now and always forget that you're not as big as I feel you should be. Alright, redeemed. And love you, keep it up. Thanks. So, Major Kill, fine. I have to admit, I don't... From my very limited interactions with Major Kill, he seems like a good dude. I've not really spoken to him, to be honest. I've had like a couple of minor interactions on Twitter. And the way that he interacts with other people, he seems like a decent enough guy. I have to admit that his videos, they're just not for me. That's fine. I don't think they're bad. I just, there are things that you can look at and go, it's not my thing, but it's okay. It's just one of them things. But yeah, he seems like a decent guy. Channel, it's weird. I don't know. I can't really tell what size is supposed to be a good size, because I don't tend to chase numbers all that much. It's more like a happy side effect of what I'm doing, to be honest. I saw this question posted yesterday, so I did do a little bit of going back and taking a glance at kind of like what milestones have been hit when sort of thing. So I didn't actually start doing full-time 40k stuff, so to speak, until December of 2017. So there was a good year and a half for this channel where I was just doing gaming stuff, and I wasn't really doing anything 40k related. When I started to do 40k videos, I kind of interspersed it with gaming stuff as well, which didn't really work. It didn't work at all. Mainly because I was losing the enthusiasm for the gaming stuff very rapidly. But like, I think some people came for 40k, some people came for gaming stuff, and when it was one, they didn't watch it. When it was the other, they were like, well, I didn't watch the thing yesterday, so it didn't show up on my feed today, stuff like that. So it wasn't until December 2017 that I actually started doing 40k full time, and then I got ill with pneumonia, which put a damper on things for a while. But like mid 2018, the channel was at 25,000 subs. We're now in December of 2020 and we're at 70,000. So I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. It's fine. As I say, I don't really tend to chase the numbers so much. I just try and focus on enjoying myself, because I feel like something that I see other YouTubers say a lot is that it's very easy to get hung up on it. Like to kind of be like, oh, well, I've got to do this. I've got to hit this milestone, that milestone. I don't think that would be a healthy way for me to approach it. I think the more sensible and kind of healthy approach for me personally is to enjoy what I'm doing, do it at my own rate, and that way it is sustainable and I can just carry on doing it for as long as I want. I think if I went, okay, I need to hit 150,000 subs by June of next year, and I absolutely like slammed videos out like every single day, bonus content, start streaming as well and doing all this sort of thing, I might well hit that goal, but I think I would kill enthusiasm for the actual process if I did that. And I don't want to do that because I enjoy it too much. So yeah, it's fine. It would be nice if it was bigger, but I'm not massively bothered about it, to be honest. Just it'll grow. It'll grow when it grows. Sly Marbo, what are your opinions on Tower for a kit-bashing army? Ever considered joining the greater good? I have considered it. I just don't know what I'd do with them. It's on my list. That's a challenge I would like to tackle at some point. I would quite like to try and see what I could do with a Tau army, like specifically the battle suits. But I just don't know what I'd do with them. That's the thing. Joe Dunn, what are your interests outside of Warhammer? Guitar, as you can see, like a bit of guitar. D&D, lot of D&D. God, fucking the bloody. Oh, COVID's wrecked D&D. We had 2 campaigns. We're doing 2 campaigns a week. 2 a week! I was DMing one. My friend Mike was DMing the other. I got to DM one day and then play the other day. 2 persistent campaigns. We were super good as well. Like, we played pretty much every week. We very rarely missed sessions. It's like the holy grail. Group of close friends who play 2 campaigns twice, like have 2 sessions a week reliably. You could not get better than that. And then COVID happened. The Rice Man, are you interested in collaborating with other Warhammer YouTubers? Honestly, during lockdown, quite a few of us made plans. Like we made plans. Me and Varak set something up a couple of times, but then like he had to look after his kids at one point, and then I had to go away and look after mine, and then I think, did he get ill? Or my wife got ill, and then I got ill, and so it didn't happen. Snipe and Wib, we organised something. We were going to do like a podcasty thing, just like a sit down and chat for a while, and then I think then one of my parents got ill. There's been so many plans. I was supposed to play. I was supposed to have a game against Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming. We were supposed to record a battle report in November, and then we couldn't because his area where he was went into lockdown again. So we couldn't. So the plans have already been made, not followed through on any of them. But just because just stupid life stuff's just got in the way every time. But yes, I'm definitely interested, and we have set stuff up. It's just life and situations have meant that we haven't been able to go through with it. But hopefully next year things will be less hectic and garbage, and it'll actually happen. Okay, where are we? Answered that already. We've already talked about Saul Tarvitz. I'll put a link to that video in the description. Not 40. Samuel Sanders, not 40k related at all, but opinions on the best animated show of all time. Oh God, honestly, I have no idea. I don't really do animated stuff. When I was younger, I used to watch a considerable chunk of the old anime, although it was mostly. Thinking about it, I think some of it was really shit. I remember Trigun being really good. I remember Trigun being really good. I remember the first Hellsing anime being good. Although Hellsing Ultimate arguably was better. I think one of the other ones I watched was Gun X Sword. Was it Gun X Sword or was it just Gun Sword? It was like some weird mecha anime of some kind. I think they were like mechs that orbited the Earth, and like people could call them down and they could fight each other or something. I do not remember that being great. That could be. I mean, it was a while ago. I'm probably misremembering. I watched some weird thing with a. I've asked about this before, and someone's given me the name of it. I can't remember what it was. The most ridiculous, just animated thing I've seen in general, and I mean just animated, taking into account all of the animated things, was still an anime, but some weird ass show where there was a bunch of schoolgirls that had like pets, but they weren't pets, they were like guardians or something that were like animals, and one of them had like a dog that had rocket launchers on its shoulders for some reason. One of them had like a snake, and one of them had a whale phoenix with a sword sticking out of its head. And then they could evolve or something, or like depending on the emotional state of the owner, it got more powerful or some shit. And at one point, it turned into a rocket-powered whale phoenix. I'm not making it up; it's a real thing, and I used to know what it was called, but no. Really, I just don't have that much experience with animated shows, to be honest. It's a gap in my it's a gap in my cultural experience, so to speak. Oh wow, there's one here from literally 55 minutes ago, which means it was posted just before I started recording. I've been interested in Warhammer 40k for so long now that I've took the dive, recently painted up the old Orc Battle Force and Orc half of Black Reach. However, just recently I like the look of Tyranids, but I don't like the old models. For example, the Hormagaunts, Biovore, and even the Gene Stealer. Should I wait till they update it or just go with it? I have seen paint schemes that make these models look amazing, but it's a shame they're so old and don't have much detail. Honestly, if you don't think you're going to enjoy painting them, then steer clear of them. There are some really nice Tyranid models. If you're not too bothered about getting them on the tabletop and it being a playable army, like right this second, then get the models that you like and paint those and see where things are in like a year's time. And then if they still haven't updated them, then you can decide whether you want to continue building out the force and whether you want to try and actually tackle those models or whether you just want to leave them. I wouldn't push yourself to grab them if you don't like them, because again, it's a good way to kill enthusiasm. Jimmy Biscuits, what is currently your favourite and least favourite of your painted models, and how are you keeping? I'm alright, thank you. So for favourite and least favourite, that's difficult. I've got a lot of least favourites. To be honest, for favourite painted, that's kind of a tricky one. I've got quite a few that I'm super happy with now. Most of my Emperor's Children stuff I'm super happy with. I think probably the Knight with the Knight with the Vulcan Megabolter is my favourite painted model at the moment. Probably, possibly, yeah. I'll say that. I'll say it's probably that. But there's a few. Least favourite painted model. Most of my old Space Marines, to be honest. Yeah, they were just not. They were just. When I didn't enjoy painting, I just did it out of necessity, which actually is the vast majority of the models I own, unfortunately. But it's getting better. It's fine. But yeah, probably just my older Space Marines because I really didn't like painting those. Actually, yes, no, that is it. That's it. The Land Raider, my old Land Raider, garbage, terrible paint job, awful. Adam Ryan, do you think it's weird that Games Workshop have shown new models but don't release them for many months? For example, the Necron Cryptex and the Flayed ones. Yeah, it's frustrating because it's like, oh, here's this really cool new thing that you can buy at some point in the future. We don't know when, and you're not going to find out either. It bugs me. It's frustrating because it's like, I want to get the thing you've shown me, but I can't. Why not? In this specific instance for this year, I suspect a lot of it is just down to stupid delays, because they've got to try and like keep up interest even though they can't release stuff when they would want to. So I think that's a big part of it this time round. But yeah, it's annoying, and I don't know exactly why they do it, because I think it's an effective way to kill a lot of hype and interest. But yeah. Boom Boom Actual, any other fantasy universes you keep up with? Not really, no. Mostly just D&D. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time for anything else now. It's mostly 40k, D&D, or guitars. Everything else is children. My children, specifically, obviously. Mr. Lynch in real life. Making content on one theme can be difficult. There must be a temptation to shill for Games Workshop. I already do. Have you not read some of the comments on my videos? And be hyped for each release, as you can talk about it more. Equally, there must be temptation to discuss rumours or speculate on anything/everything for content. You don't, so clearly you have some ground rules / an ethos. What is it? Or alternatively, how do you approach topics to cover? Mostly, I don't know. In terms of being hyped for releases, I just don't like being dishonest. I'm not suggesting that if you are hyped for every release, you are dishonest. What I'm saying with that is that I'm not. I'm not hyped for every release. So for me to say that I would be an outright lie. And you cannot get away with just lying constantly. You will get caught out at some point, and it's just not worth it. And why would you bother anyway? Because it's not genuine, and if you're not being genuine, then you're not presenting yourself in an authentic way to people. And I don't like doing that. So yeah, when it comes to like being hyped for each release, the temptation to kind of I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. I feel like in some respects, if someone says that I do shill for Games Workshop, I can see why they would think that. I'm very open about the fact that I have things like an affiliate link. And like I've said before, that if you buy through the affiliate link I have, then I will earn money from it. So it could be argued that by talking about Games Workshop stuff and dropping that link in the same video, there is an expectation that people will go and buy the thing that I'm talking about. The thing is, I don't just like look at something and go, it's a new release, therefore it must be good. All of it's so subjective, and there's so many things that, I like that other people don't like. For instance, like the things that stand out to me in terms of just holding to, I'm just going to tell you what I think, and that's literally it. There's nothing more to it. Is the Repentia and the Invicta Tactical Warsuit and the Impulsor. To a lesser degree. Those are 3 units where me and the audience are completely at odds. I really like the Repentia. I still really like the Repentia. They look like battle-hardened warriors to me. They don't look like models in some sewn-together clothing that's supposed to look like rags but really doesn't look like rags. They look like what I would expect women who train to fight every day or fight every day would look like. But a lot of people don't like that because they think they look too muscular or not feminine enough, or they don't, they're not the same as the classic Repentia. That doesn't bother me. I like that interpretation of them. So in that respect, that's just another case of just going, well, I'm just going to be honest about whether I like it or not. Same with the Invicta Tactical Warsuit. There's also I would also say there's a lot of cognitive dissonance that goes on in my videos as well, which you've probably all noticed. But the Invicta Tactical Warsuit is a great example of that. It is not a good Space Marine unit. I'm not talking about rules-wise. I'm talking about, does it fit with Space Marines? No, it absolutely does not. It's not a good Space Marines unit. It reminds me in the worst ways of the Nemesis Dread Knight. I do not like that aspect of that at all. And it's just like that, except more ridiculous, because it's supposed to be a stealthy version of it. I mean, it's just absurd. It doesn't work as a Space Marines unit, but I still like it. I still like the way it looks. I like the design of it. I like the idea of it. I just don't think it's in the right army. So when it comes to like there being a temptation to shill for Games Workshop, and if I was just pretending to be hyped for every release, I could probably make more in terms of like affiliate links and stuff, but that would mean just outright lying to you about what my opinion is. And if you are coming to the channel, I assume it's to hear me talk about something. If I'm not going to be genuine when I'm talking about it, then there's no point me talking about it. Is kind of how I think about it, really. In terms of like discussing rumours or speculation, if I'm going to speculate on I do like speculating on stuff, but I just go out of my way to point out that it's just speculation. We've got no idea what's going on. I really like that part of just the hobby as a whole. Some of the most fun conversations that I've had have been about things that we have no idea whether they're even true or not. But I always feel like it's important to tell people that you have no idea, because otherwise there is a chance that someone will listen to what you say and go, this is exactly what's happening, I'm excited about this, and then they're disappointed. And I don't want to be responsible for other people's disappointment for things that I can't verify. Similar thing with rumours. I get a lot of stuff in terms of rumours sent to me. I don't talk about 99% of it because it's either completely unverifiable or it comes across as being unrealistic. And so I don't talk about it because I don't want people to sit there and go, oh, this sounds awesome, and then it never happens. Yeah, I've done rumour stuff before and will continue to do it when something is interesting enough. But again, it all has to come with that caveat of this is clearly unconfirmed. We don't know if this is true. Do not get excited about this. We don't know if it's accurate. I just feel like it's important to, again, just be honest about everything, because there's no point otherwise. And just to reiterate, because I know, if you've even lasted this long, Jesus, an hour and 10 minutes, Christ. I know that there will be some of you who will say, oh, he thinks that if you're hyped for every release, you're lying. I don't think that's the case at all. I think you can absolutely be hyped for every release. I mean, if you look at Chapter Master Varak being a good example of this. He absolutely loves 40k. You cannot. I think if you watch his videos and come away from that thinking, oh, this guy's putting it on, then you're not listening to him. You're not you're hearing the words, but you're not hearing the intent behind them. There is a genuine passion and enthusiasm there. I have a similar passion and enthusiasm, but it is far more focused. It's kind of, I find that I direct it more to individual things as opposed to the entirety of the thing. In his case, when he is excited for a whole load of new Space Marine stuff, I thoroughly believe that he is excited about it. But he does also say, at times, there's a bit too much of this happening. With me, it's just a case of everything is on an individual basis. That's just how I approach things. It's just how I think. So I think it probably comes across sometimes as being wildly inconsistent. Some of my favourite comments that I get will be on the same day where it's like, oh my god, you're so negative about everything Games Workshop does, but then on the same video there'll be someone saying, why are you so positive about everything Games Workshop does? It's because 99% of the time when I look at something, there are things I love and things I don't love, and I will tell you exactly which of those things is which, and it can probably come across as being either way too enthusiastic or way too miserable about the whole thing, but I think it's more just a case of, again, just being honest about it. So, yeah. Spaz muffin. Okay. How do you get out of a painting slump? I've got a lot of grey plastic to catch up on. If I knew how to do that, I would not have any grey plastic either. When I come up with a decent method for getting out of it, outside of just discipline, just forcing yourself to sit down and paint, I don't know, switching projects. That is something that I did do once. I scrapped a bunch of old projects just because I was like, this is holding me back. I need to just start clean. And that did work. but it's not massively advisable unless you're willing to sell a bunch of plastic. Andrew, any advice on beard products? Lol. I mean, it's no. No, I just wash mine and that's it. Travis Langford, is the hokey pokey really what it's all about? Mostly. Not all the way. A hench tech priest. Some great names. Whatever happened to your guard army? Funnily enough, that's one of the things I just shifted. A couple of years ago now, I talked about doing a army, like a guard army that was almost like Death Stranding inspired. Didn't actually play the game in the end. It looked really boring. I'm sorry. Like I didn't actually go like. I got the stuff for it and then I sold it on because I had that slump. I had that point where I was like, I've got a bunch of projects I haven't finished. I've got a load of stuff that I need to do, and I can't summon the enthusiasm, so I sold a bunch of models that I was never going to get around to painting, and I knew that it was going to take ages to actually get around to doing and the guard stuff, so I sold the stuff I'd bought. Yeah, that's what happened to it. I sold the stuff I'd bought because I was not going to get around to it, and I'd lost the drive. So, James Pickard, what new race would you like to see Games Workshop release? Agents of the Imperium, Traitor Guard, Dark Mechanicum Squats, a new Xenos race. Dark Mechanicum and Traitor Guard would be my top of the list. Agents of the Imperium would also be good. Really, all of them. I would like all of them. Not feasible or realistic, but all of them. Well, maybe over the course of time, but yeah, I'd put Traitor Guard at the very top, though. Traitor Guard at the very top, because they're such a big part of it, and they get nothing. Nothing. Tripwire 31, what's your take on Volkite? Personally, it's my favourite type of weapon in the 30/40k. I wish Chaos got access to them, though. It seems like it would be a Loyalist exclusive. I want Chaos to have access to a whole bunch of stuff that Loyalists got access to, but I don't think it's going to happen. And Volkite is fun. Ozgy Warrior? Do you reckon we will have more Primarchs returning to 40k next year? If so, which Primarchs do you think will be returning? I want another Loyalist, and I want it to be something interesting. I want it to be something that will be counter to old Rebute. Russ would be fun. Russ or the Lion. I think I prefer Russ to come back first. Just because I think that would be a more interesting dynamic. Russ is... He's been away a while. He's been away a while, and the potential for Wolfen-based shenanigans is high. So that would be fun. F. Gusto, if you had a Thunderhawk, how would you kitbash it for Big Boss Barry? Oh, man. I don't know that I could bring myself to kitbash a Thunderhawk. That's a lie, I totally would. Right, what I'd do, right, if I had a Thunderhawk and I had to kitbash it for Big Boss Barry, I would probably get a couple of Orc aircraft. I'd give it some extra engines. I'd stick some turrets on it, so it had like multiple turrets on things like the wings and the fuselage. I would most likely do something a bit weird with the tail, like put it on backwards or something mad. I'd do something like that. Ed Martin, do you sub-assemble your models or do you build all in one? Depends on the model. Some of them I sub-assemble, some I build. Some I build even though I know I should have sub-assembled them. This, like the Keeper of Secrets, for instance, which I still haven't finished painting. I really should. That is like partial sub-assembly, so I left the cloak off. Best cloak I've ever painted, and then I got bloody streaking grime on it. Boo! Yeah. That I did sub-assemblies, kind of. So I left the sword arm on, but I didn't put the whip on. I want to paint the whip separately because that's going to be a bit more delicate. Just like the things going over the face, that's separate, and the hair I kept separate, and the cape is separate as well. For the most part, though, generally speaking, if I can get away with it, I'm just going to give up trying to put that back on there. That's not going to happen, is it? For the most part, I just put them together because it's easier for me that way. Not to paint, but I just find it easier to work out what I'm doing if I've got it fully assembled in front of me. It makes more sense. Joshua Hamer, how much hobbying do you do off camera? Way more than on. Way more than on. Yeah. That'll probably change with the new channel. But yeah, for the most part, most of it is off camera, so to speak. The Green Man. What would win, one single Ripper or one Fish Boy? Gotta be a Ripper, surely. It's gotta be the Ripper. 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. What's your most controversial held position regarding Warhammer lore? I don't know, actually. I don't know. Probably that Primaris aren't the absurd reach that a lot of people think they are. I use the analogy like when they first came out, but for me, like the idea of how they came about maybe wasn't handled in the best way in terms of call, but the actual improvement of Space Marines just didn't strike me as being all that ludicrous. What was the analogy that I used? Let me just grab it. I'll show you. There we go. So the analogy I used at the time, like years and years ago, is that this is dusty. This is my ESP LTD EC331. Catchy name there. Very well marketed. And I did not build this guitar. I bought it, obviously. Whoever built it spent a long time, spent a long time building it. Well, maybe not a long time, but they spent time building this. I also have messed with it. So after I bought it, I replaced the tuners with locking tuners. I replaced the pots and the knobs, and I replaced the bridge pickup, and I replaced the switch as well. Now it took me, I want to say, about an hour to do that. The pickups just plug because it's got a battery. So yeah, it took me about an hour to do that, but it obviously took the person who made the guitar way more time than that to build it in the first place. With the Space Marines and the Primaris, I flipped that round. So essentially, took the Emperor and his team however long to make Space Marines, and then it took Call like 10,000 years to improve them slightly. I improved this slightly, but it only took me an hour. It's the complete opposite for the Primaris stuff. It took Call an inordinate amount of time to improve the Primaris Space Marines, and he took way longer to make them slightly better than it took the Emperor and his team to make them in the first place. Yeah, that's the kind of analogy that I use, that it's like, when you look at it that way, it kind of puts it more into perspective. The equivalent would be like, if it had taken me, I don't know, 20 hours to put new tuners on this, but it had taken the guy who built it 20 minutes. Like, that way round, it just shows how ridiculously good at what he was doing, the Emperor and his team, was, and how, by comparison, really kind of crap the other person is. So yeah, that's kind of the vague analogy that I used when I talked about it the first time years and years ago. I think I butchered it this time round, but it's fine. I can't be bothered to go all the way over there. You can stay there. Don't fall over. Okay. Functional... Geordie Third. Functional explanation of chaos spikes. It's to stick your enemies on, isn't it, when they're dead? Or alive. Whatever you fancy, really. Dead or alive, stick them on a spike. Connor Thomas, will you give Barry pink hair? We'll just say he has, because it's under a helmet. Do you think a Xenos versus Xenos or Chaos versus Xenos box will ever happen? And what faction would you want to see in it? Well, we've already had Eldar versus Dark Eldar. So, yeah, definitely. That'll happen. Pardon me. Christopher Thorson, does your significant other know how much you spend on dreadnoughts? Yes. Yes, she does. Yes. I know it's only a joke, but it's such boomer shit where it's like, oh, no one knows. When I die, make sure that you hide the receipts from my Warhammer collection, or the picture of like an army that's like 20,000 points, and it's like, I told her this costs $100 or whatever. I know it's only a joke, but don't lie to your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever you're with about how much you spend on your hobby, for God's sake. That's not the foundation of a trusting relationship, is it? How much did that cost? Oh, got it for 20 quid. No, tell them. Tell them how much it was. Because at some point, someone will go, wow, that's a lot of stuff. That must have cost loads. Like, what are you going to do? It's just... Yeah, she knows. She knows. It's fine. Also, it's like kind of related to you know, how I make money. So it's fine. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's it for YouTube questions. Oh wow, an hour and 20 minutes. Oh, this is gonna be terrible to watch. If you made it this far, the secret word is, I don't know, what could the secret word be? Hang on. The secret word, if you've reached this far, is carbohydrate. If I see carbohydrate in your comment, it means you've made it to the end. What is wrong with you? Did you not have anything better to do with your time? Shaming people for watching my video all the way through. Thank you very much for watching. There's a lot of questions there. I am not going to go through the Twitter ones now. That can be a separate one, because dear Lord, this is too long. Far too long. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you if you got this far. I hope you have a good Christmas. I'll see you before then, but, you know, just in case. Yeah, feel free to click all the things. There's the affiliate link, all that shit. You know the deal. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.